hand a caveman your phone, and you wait for him to scream. He won't. He will do something that should unsettle you far more than any scream. He will set it down, look slowly around your warm, perfectly comfortable, perfectly silent home, and ask you the one question you have spent your whole life avoiding. Where is everyone? Imagine you could really do it. Reach back 40,000 years and pull one person forward. A hunter, a mother, someone who watched the same stars you see tonight. You sit them down on your couch, you hand them that glowing phone, and you wait for the gasp of amazement you are certain is coming. But the real answer is far stranger. They would not be amazed first. They would be afraid. And the thing that frightened them would not be the technology at all. It would be the silence. Because the home you live in is quieter than any place your ancestor ever stood. No wind moving through grass, no distant voices, no fire crackling a few feet away. Just the low electric hum of a world that has sealed itself off from everything that once kept you alive. To you, that quiet is comfort. To them, that quiet is the sound of a predator that has already won. So before they ever look at your screen, they would look at you. And they would notice something is wrong. Where are the others? For nearly the entire span of human existence, you were never alone. Not for an hour. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying the size of human social worlds, and he landed on a number you have probably heard. Around 150. That is roughly how many real, stable relationships a human brain is built to hold. Your ancestor lived inside that number every single day. Faces they knew. Voices they could place in the dark. A web of people who would notice the moment they went missing. You, by contrast, might go a whole day speaking to no one. And here is the part that would truly confuse them. You are not actually alone. You are surrounded by faces, thousands of them. They scroll past your eyes every hour, people laughing, eating, traveling, grieving. Your brain, built across millions of years, reads each of those faces as a member of your tribe. It files them away as people who matter. People you know, but none of them know you. None of them would notice if you vanished. Your ancient mind is being fed the signal of a vast, thriving community while your ancient body sits completely alone in a quiet room. Your ancestor would not have a word for that, but they would feel it instantly. They would feel that something in this world is pretending to be connection while delivering none of it. Then they would get hungry. And this is where their confusion would turn into something close to disbelief. You would open a cold white box and pull out food. More food than their entire band might gather in a week. You would not have hunted it. You would not have tracked it for 2 days across open ground or fought anything for it. It was simply there, waiting, cold and endless. For a creature whose every instinct is shaped around the gnawing possibility of not eating, this is not normal. This is a miracle. This is the dream at the center of every story their people ever told around the fire.
It rises.
So why, they would wonder, do you not look happy? The anthropologist
Affluent
Marshall
Society
Solins once made an argument that overturned how the world saw people like your ancestor. We tend to picture prehistoric life as a brutal, exhausting grind, constant starvation, endless labor just to survive. But when researchers actually studied living hunter-gatherer groups, they found something almost offensive to the modern mind. These people worked remarkably little. Some bands spent only a few hours a day securing food, and the rest of their time was their own. Solins called them the original affluent society. Not because they had much, but because they wanted little. And what they wanted, they could get. Now, look at your own week. Look at how many hours you trade away. Look at how the food appears without effort, and yet the hours required to afford that food never seem to end. Your ancestors solved the problem of survival by needing less. You solved it by producing more and then quietly raising what you need again and again until the finish line walks away from you every time you approach it. They would not understand why you are so rich and still so tired, and then they would watch you move. Or rather, they would watch you not move. Daniel Lieberman, an evolutionary biologist at Harvard, has spent his career studying the human body as a machine shaped for motion. We are, by design, walkers and runners. Endurance creatures who could chase an animal across the savannah until it collapsed from heat while we kept going, cooled by sweat, driven by patience. Your body expects miles. It expects to climb, carry, dig, and hunt. Lieberman describes much of modern illness as a kind of mismatch. Our bodies are running ancient software in a world it was never written for. Your ancestor would watch you sit for hours in a chair, then a car, then another chair. They would watch you eat food so soft it barely needs chewing, food stripped of everything that once made your jaw and gut work. And slowly they would understand that the diseases that frighten you most, the slow ones that creep in over decades, are not curses from the gods. They are the price of a body built for hardship, living a life with almost none. Does that mean their life was better than yours? Be careful before you answer, because they would also see things that would stop them cold with wonder. They would watch a child survive a fever that would have killed 3 of their own. They would see a woman give birth and live when in their world birth was one of the most dangerous things a body could do. They would learn that the strangers on your screen are not all in one valley but scattered across an entire planet, and that you can speak to any of them in a heartbeat. To a mind that measured the world in walking days, this is closer to magic than anything else they would witness. So they would not pity you. And they would not envy you. They would feel something more complicated than either. They would feel that you traded one set of dangers for another and then forgot you had made the trade at all. There is one more thing they would notice, and it might be the heaviest of all. The anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied conversation among the Zhu-Huanzi people, and she found that talk changed depending on the time of day. During daylight, conversation was practical, plans, disputes, the work of staying alive. But at night around the fire, something shifted. The talk turned to stories, to people far away, to the dead, to the imagined. Wiesner argued that firelight conversation was where culture itself was woven, where the human imagination stretched beyond the visible and learned to hold the whole world in its mind. Your ancestor lived for that fire, the gathering, the faces lit orange in the dark, the shared dreaming that bound a band of people into something larger than themselves. Now picture them watching you in the evening, the fire replaced by a screen, the circle of faces replaced by a single glowing rectangle held inches from your eyes, the shared stories replaced by a private river of images that no one beside you can see, and that you will not remember by morning. They would understand the technology eventually. The cold box, the fast car, the voices from across the earth. They are clever, your ancestors. Far cleverer than we give them credit for. They invented language, fire, art, and the very mind you are using to read this. But that one thing, the dark room and the glowing screen where the fire used to be, that is the thing they might never understand. Because to them, the fire was never about the light. It was about who sat beside you in it. So here's the question worth carrying with you. When you imagined bringing your ancestor into your world, you assumed you would be the one with everything to teach, the one holding the miracles. And you do hold real ones. Medicine, knowledge. A reach across the whole earth they could never have dreamed. But somewhere in that quiet room with the cold, endless food and the 1,000 faces who do not know your name, they might gently take the glowing rectangle out of your hands. They might turn it face down. And they might wait, in the way their people always waited, for you to finally look up and notice who is actually sitting beside you. Hand a caveman your phone and you wait for him to scream. He never does. He simply turns it face down, looks at you the way his people once looked at the fire, and waits for you to finally answer the question yourself. Where is everyone?